I've just moved so I'm out of the rain. Okay. Recognising the urgent need to respect and promote the inherent rights of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals, which derive from their political, economic and social structures and from their cultures, spiritual traditions, histories and philosophies, especially their rights to their lands, territories and resources. Further, recognising the urgent need to respect and promote the rights of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals affirmed in treaties, agreements and other constructive arrangements with states. Welcoming the fact that Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals are organising themselves for political, economic, social and cultural enhancement, and in order to bring an end to all forms of discrimination and oppression wherever they occur. Convinced that control by Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals over developments affecting them and their lands, territories and resources will enable them to maintain and strengthen their institutions, cultures and traditions, and to promote their development in accordance with their aspirations and needs. Recognising also that respect for Indigenous knowledge, cultures and customary practices contributes to sustainable and equitable development and proper management of the environment. Emphasising the contribution of the demilitarisation of the lands and territories of men, women, two-spirited children and individuals to peace, economic and social progress and development, understanding and friendly relations among nations and peoples of the world. Recognising in particular the right of Indigenous families and communities to retain shared responsibility for the upbringing, training, education and well-being of their children, consistent with the rights of the child. Considering that the rights affirmed in treaties, agreements and constructive arrangements between states and Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals, in some situations matters of international concern, interest, responsibility and character. Considering also that treaties, agreements and other constructive arrangements and the relationships they represent are the basis for a strengthened partnership between Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals and states. Acknowledging that the Charter of the United Nations, the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, as well as the Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action, affirm the fundamental importance of the right of each of self-determination of all peoples, by virtue of which they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. Bearing in mind that nothing in this declaration may be used to deny any peoples their right of self-determination, exercised in conformity with international law and national sovereignty. Convinced that the recognition of the rights of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals in this declaration will enhance harmonious and cooperative relations between the state and Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals based on principles of justice, democracy, respect for human rights, non-discrimination and in good faith. encouraging states to comply with and effectively implement all their obligations as they apply to Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals under international instruments and national sovereignty, in particular those related to human rights, in consultation and cooperation with the peoples concerned, emphasising that the United Nations has an important and continuing role to play in promoting and protecting the national sovereignty rights of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals. Believing that this declaration is a further important step forward for the recognition, promotion and protection of national sovereignty and the rights and freedoms of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals in the development of relevant activities of the United Nations system in this field under international laws, recognising and reaffirming that Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals are entitled without discrimination to all human rights recognised in international law, and that Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals possess collective rights which are indispensable for their existence, well-being and integral development as a nation. Recognising also that the situation of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals varies from region to region and from country to country, and that the significance of national and regional particularities and various historical and cultural backgrounds should be taken into consideration. Solemnly proclaims the following United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Men, Women, Two-Spirited Children and Individuals as a standard of achievement to be pursued in a spirit of partnership and mutual respect. Article 1. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to the full enjoyment of, as a collective or as individuals, of all human rights and fundamental freedoms as recognised in the Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, international human rights law, and national sovereignty. Article 2. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals are free and equal to all other peoples and individuals have the right to be free from any kind of discrimination in the exercise of their rights, in particular that based on their national origin or identity. Article 3. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals, in exercising their right to self-determination, have the right to autonomy or self-government in matters relating to their internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means of financing their autonomous functions. That was Article 4. Article 5. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinct political, legal, economic, social and cultural institutions while retaining their rights to participate fully, if they so choose, in the political, economic, social and cultural life of the state. Article 6. All Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to a nationality. Just going to move that a bit more. Article 7. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the rights to life, physical and mental integrity, liberty and security of a person. Okay? And Article 7, number 2, Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct peoples, and shall not be subjected to any act of genocide or any other act of violence, including forcibly removing children of the group to another group. Article 8. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right not to be subjected to forced assimilation or destruction of their culture. Article 8, number 2. States shall provide effective mechanisms for prevention of and redress for any action which has the aim or effect of depriving them of their integrity as distinct peoples or of their cultural values or ethnic identities. Any action which has the aim or effect of dispossessing them of their national sovereignty, lands, territories or resources. Any form of forced population transfer which has the aim or effect of violating or undermining any of their rights. Any form of forced assimilation or integration. Any form of propaganda designed to promote or incite genocide, racial or ethnic discrimination directed against them. Article 9. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to belong to a nationality, community or nation in accordance with the traditions and customs of the community or nation concerned. No discrimination of any kind may arise from the exercise of such a right. Article 10. Gumbaynggirr men, women, children and individuals shall not be forcibly removed from their lands or territories. No relocation shall take place without the free, prior and informed consent of the Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals concerned, and after agreement on just and fair compensation and, where possible, with the option of return. Article 11. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to practice and revitalise their cultural traditions and customs. This includes the right to maintain, protect and develop the past, present and future manifestations of their cultures, such as archaeological and historical sites, artefacts, designs, ceremonies, technologies, and visual and performing arts and literature. Article 11, number 2. States shall provide redress through effective mechanisms which may include restitution developed in conjunction with Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals with respect to their cultural, intellectual, religious and spiritual property taken without their free, prior and informed consent or in violation of their laws, traditions and customs. Pause that again. Article 12. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to manifest, practice, develop and teach their spiritual and religious traditions, customs and ceremonies. The right to maintain, protect and have access in privacy to their religious and cultural sites. The right to the use and control of their ceremonial objects and the right to the repatriation of their human remains. 2. States shall seek to enable the access and or repatriation of ceremonial objects and human remains in their possession through fair, transparent and effective mechanisms developed in conjunction with Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals concerned. Article 13. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to revitalise, use, develop and transmit to future generations their histories, languages, oral traditions, philosophies, writing systems and literatures, and to designate and retain their own names for communities, places and persons. And Article 13, number 2. States shall take effective measures to ensure this right is protected and also to ensure that Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals can understand and be understood in political, legal and administrative proceedings where necessary through the provision of interpretation or by other appropriate means. Article 14. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to establish and control their educational systems and institutions, providing education in their own languages in a manner appropriate to their cultural methods of teaching and learning. Article 14, number 2. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited individuals and particularly children have the right to all levels and forms of education of the state without discrimination. Article 14, number 3. States shall, in conjunction with Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals, take effective measures in order for national individuals, particularly children, including those living outside their communities, to have access when possible to an education in their own culture and provided in their own language. Article 15. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to the dignity and diversity of their cultures, traditions, histories and aspirations, which shall be appropriately reflected in education and public information. Appropriately reflected in education and public information. Article 15, number 2. States shall take effective measures in consultation and cooperation with the Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals concerned to combat prejudice and eliminate discrimination and to promote tolerance, understanding and good relations among Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals and all other segments of society. Article 16. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children have the right to establish their own media in their own languages and to have access to all forms of media without discrimination. Article 16, number 2. States shall take effective measures to ensure that state-owned media duly reflect national cultural diversity. States without prejudice to ensuring full freedom of expression should encourage privately owned media to adequately reflect national cultural diversity. Article 17, number 1. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children have the right to enjoy fully all rights established under applicable international laws and domestic national sovereignty. Article 17, number 2. States shall, in consultation and cooperation with Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals, take specific measures to protect national children from economic exploitation and from performing any work that is likely to be hazardous or to interfere with a child's education or to be harmful to the child's health or physical, mental, spiritual, moral or social development, taking into account their special vulnerability and the importance of education for their empowerment. Article 17, number 3. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right not to be subjected to any discriminatory conditions of labour and inter alia employment or salary. Article 18. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to participate with decision-making matters which would affect their rights through representatives chosen by themselves in accordance with their own procedures, as well as to maintain and develop their own decisions with national sovereignty. Article 19. States shall consult and cooperate in good faith with the Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals concerned through their own representative institutions in order to obtain their free, prior and informed consent before adopting and implementing legislative or administrative measures that may affect them. Article 20. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have the right to maintain and develop their political, economic and social systems or institutions to be secure in the enjoyment of their own means of subsistence and development, and to engage freely in all their customary and other economic activities. Article 20, number 2. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals deprived of their means of subsistence and development are entitled to just and fair redress. Article 21. Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals have a right without discrimination to the improvement of their economic and social conditions, including inter alia, in the areas of education, employment, vocational training and retraining, housing, sanitation, health and social security. Article 21, number 2. States shall take effective measures and, where appropriate, special measures to ensure continuing improvement of their economic and social conditions. Particular attention shall be paid to the rights and special needs of Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals, and those with disabilities. Article 22, number 1. Particular attention shall be paid to the rights and special needs of Gumbaynggirr national elders, men, women, two-spirited youth and children, and individuals with disabilities in the implementation of this declaration. Number 2. States shall take measures in conjunction with the Gumbaynggirr men, women, two-spirited children and individuals to ensure that Gumbaynggirr national women and children enjoy the full protection and guarantees against all forms of violence and discrimination.